Hi, this is Lara.
And this is Simon.
Welcome to Hubas Kitchen.
Today we're going to be showing you the second part of our Christmas series and we're going to be making
a butternut squash nut roast. We like this recipe so much that we plan on using it for Christmas Day, so it's going to be our main Christmas dinner, obviously accompanied by the usual vegetables, roast potatoes and Lara's favourite
Yorkshire pudding.
Now the good thing about it is it's full of flavour, as you can see from the array of ingredients that we've got here. Each of these ingredients contributes and makes a really good nut roast. So speaking of which, shall we talk about the ingredients now?
Yes, yeah.
You should be seeing those on your screen. So the only thing to really note is obviously we've got chestnuts, apricots, beans and flax seeds. Now they're the ones that you may want to substitute. Chestnuts, you want to use something like cashews or pecans. For the apricots you could substitute those with cranberries, being Christmas and all. Obviously for the beans you can use anything. You could use black beans, cannellini beans or pinto beans. We're going with kidney beans, just easy to get hold of. Now for the flaxseed, these are ground flaxseed obviously, so you could use ground oats or ground almonds. So now that we've gone through those, let's start cooking. Should we get our aprons on?
Yeah.
So first things first, we need to preheat the oven because we're going to roast the butternut squash. So that needs to be 180 fan or 200 if you don't have a fan assisted oven.
Okay.
Thank you. So we're going to start by obviously clearing all this stuff. So we've got the butternut squash, the rosemary and the oil, and you're going to need a chopping board. So what we need to do is peel and chop that. It needs to be chopped into about 1 inch cubes.
Okay.
So you're going to need this as well.
Yes, please.
So just while I was going through that, I'll prepare a tray. The other things we're going to need, obviously a tray for the butternut squash, a bowl to mix everything in together eventually, a frying pan and a loaf tin. Now I'm not sure what loaf tin this is, I'll put it in text over the screen once I've figured it out. That obviously needs to be lined and that will go in the oven at the end, so we'll just leave that to the side.
Okay.
Try and move it forward or backwards.
Much easier.
Yep.
Like that?
Yep. So what we can do, obviously we need to de-seed it as well. So what Lara's doing is just the seeded area, seeded section, just cut it into discs and then just sort of coring it almost.
Not very well, sorry, but you get the gist. Thank you.
The other thing you could do, if you find that difficult, is just sort of cut around the seeds like this. You just cut sort of shards off. And then you're just left with a nice seeded hexagon. Okay, so just while you're doing that, I'll do the rest of it. As I said, they do want to be sort of an inch square or an inch cube. And do try to remove as many seeds as you can. Right, so yeah, what we need to do now is, I'll hold it, and if you want to just brush everything in. And if we can just drop a couple of tablespoons of oil into that.
Yep.
While I just dispose of this. And then we can just drop some rosemary, just about a teaspoon or so on top of that, and give it a good shake around. And then we'll get that into the oven. And that needs to bake as I said, at 200 or 180 fan for about 30 minutes, just until the edges start to sort of brown up a little bit. While the butternut squash is in the oven baking, we need to prepare the rest of our ingredients, starting with frying the veg. So I'm just going to quickly prepare this onion, and for the onion and garlic, both need to be very finely chopped. So as fine as you can. You could grate the garlic if you wish. We prefer just to sort of finely chop it. Okay, if you want to take over with the garlic, so finely chop the garlic. Just while I was doing that, I'll prepare the frying pan. So you want to bring your frying pan up to sort of medium heat, because we're going to fry these for quite a while, so it doesn't need to be too high. No higher than medium. And then just drop, a glug of oil onto them, so I'm thinking about a tablespoon. Just spread it around the frying pan. We've got quite a big frying pan because we've got onions, garlic, peppers and mushrooms to go onto it, so you do need the biggest one you can get. Do you want to just get those onto the frying pan?
Yeah.
And we can start with the rest of it next. Okay, so we're going to just wooden spoon, just sort of start sautéing that. So we're going to leave the onions and garlic on there for about 10 minutes, just while we prepare the peppers and the mushrooms. So I'm just going to de-seed the peppers, or the pepper, sorry, there's only one of them. And I said red pepper, that's what we always use for this one. Feel free to use green or yellow if you wish. Also they do alter the taste slightly. Again, just finely chopped for both of these. Okay, so I'm just going to shift those over to the side, and then my assistant is going to take over with the mushrooms.
Okay, so we're just going to slice these straight down the middle, and then you're literally just cubing them pretty much. You can use any type of mushrooms that you like. I think we've just got wonky mushrooms, I think.
Yeah, they're just the basic sort of mushrooms that you get in all the supermarkets.
Okay, ready to add these in?
Yep, as you can see, the onions and garlic are sort of starting to brown quite nicely now, so it's been about 10 minutes, so we can start adding these. Then we just need to start stirring that straight away without spilling any of the mushrooms. So you should notice sort of straight away the mushrooms will start to shrink, shrivel, and that's what we want. So we just, obviously they're quite chunky at the moment, they will get smaller and they'll just saute nicely. And just keep moving it around the pan. And again, sort of between 5 and 10 minutes until those mushrooms are sort of softened nicely. So you see that start already, those mushrooms are sort of browning and shrivelling. It's coming together nicely. Give those another 5 minutes or so, and then we'll add the herbs. But in the meantime, we need to prepare the rest of our ingredients, so we can do the apricots and chestnuts.
Right.
So that's 200 grams of chestnuts. They just need to be roughly chopped, so quite coarsely chopped. Yeah, just tip them all out and then do the thing with a knife. and I'll measure out the apricots while I was doing that. So just 100 grams of apricots. Again, so I try and keep the apricots and the chestnuts similar sizes, so cut them down to similar sizes. It's very useful having the two of us doing this because it means one of us can constantly be stirring, because you do need to just keep an eye on this, in the frying pan, especially on this stove. It's quite fierce. You just want to keep everything moving around, which is possible on your own, but it's a lot easier when you're sharing the load. Good, so they're looking good. So we've got some nice sized chestnuts and apricots. It's a very methodical cutting technique for the apricots. Right.
There we go.
Good. So you can see the mushrooms now have really sautéed really well, and that is looking really good. So I think we're ready to put the herbs onto that now. So
Yep.
can you pass me the teaspoon, please? So we're going rosemary, thyme and oregano. Just nice and simple, teaspoon of each. Thanks. Thank you. Okay, so immediately get that stirring. So already some nice aromas coming from the frying pan. We already have the onion, garlic and mushroom, but now we've got the herbs as well, and getting hungry. Can't believe it's going to take over an hour to bake. I'm just going to give those another no more than 5 minutes, and that should hopefully take us up to about the same time as the butternut squash coming out of the oven. So just 5 minutes and then we'll just take them off the heat. Alright, so those mushrooms, peppers, onions and garlic are all ready now. They're nicely sautéed, almost a little bit caramelised. So I'm going to just remove them from the heat, set them aside, and we need to set aside the other chopped ingredients because the butternut squash is now ready to come out of the oven. Perfect. So, you can still hear it sizzling a little bit as the oil, but it's come out nice and soft, almost starting to brown, but that's just right. Actually, we'll keep these because we're going to just let those cool down a little bit before we mash them. So we need to mash them. First we can mash the beans, so just if you wouldn't mind just draining and rinsing them.
Thank you.
So we need the bowl, which I was just getting, and a masher. Now you can, if you want, do this by dropping it into a blender or food processor, but you don't want to mash it too much. So I actually prefer to do it by hand, or I prefer to ask Lara to do it by hand. And you can see here, so we're not sort of pureeing them or turning them into like mashed potatoes, just lightly mashing them. You want some chunks of beans remaining, and we'll do the same with the squash in a sec. And so this is why I do it by hand, because if you just sort of pulse these in a blender, it's quite easy to overblend them. So that should do. We just need to add the rest of the ingredients now, so we're going to put the apricots and chestnuts in there, along with our sautéed veg. if you'd like to add the tablespoon each of the two sauces, please. And I will just attack this butternut squash. So the same with the butternut squash as with the beans. We just want to lightly mash it, so I just try not to press all the way down. You almost sort of want some of the chunks remaining. And when we combine it all in a minute, it will mash up a little bit more as well, so bear that in mind. So add that in. So that's all of those. Okay. That's ready to add. If you could pass me a wooden spoon, please. I'll just get that.
There we go.
Thank you. So just drop that in there again. So then we just want to give that a good stir. You should see the squash and the beans all combined pretty well. It should look predominantly orange. So you can see most of the squash is sort of fully mashed now. There's just the odd chunk remaining. I'm just trying to sort of push those through. So there's just one or two more things to add, and starting with the flaxseed. So if you'd mind adding that, so it's 3 tablespoons. Now, after one of our previous videos, someone asked if you could use unmilled flax seeds, to which I answered no. It's easy enough if you can only buy the sort of the flax seeds on their own, not the milled or ground. Then if you've got a sort of smoothie blender, then you can make these. You can make flax meal in about 10 seconds. So all you need to do is just add them into your blender jar, then blend them literally in about 10 seconds. They'll be ground enough that you can use in any baking recipes or to make flax eggs. And as I said at the start, if you can't get hold of them, you could substitute them with ground oats or ground almonds, and just sort of use the same quantities there. I do recommend using the flax seeds though, so they're really good at binding. They always work really well in baking, especially with cakes.
Yeah, really good egg replacement.
Yeah, smoothies, everything, they work well. Okay, there we go. So finally, the finishing touch, just some salt and pepper, obviously to your liking. A good stir. And if you wouldn't mind grabbing the loaf tin, we're ready to. What I've done is turn the oven down to 180 or 160 fan assisted. So we're just going to sort of slowly roast these for 50 minutes. Alright, just going to drop that straight into the loaf tin. So you can see it's quite sort of gloopy, but the flaxseed already is binding it together really well. Okay, so just want something else. You want to try and sort of push it all down. Get it into all the corners. Alright, so I think we're ready to put that in the oven.
Yeah.
So as I said, it's 50 minutes in the oven, and during that time the top should start to go crispy, and at that point just bring it out and cool it for a while.
So while that's baking, we're going to prepare our vegetables, roast potatoes and Yorkshire puddings.
We'll see you in 50 minutes. So that's been out of the oven for about 15 minutes or so now. We've allowed it to cool so that it's easier just to take it out of the tin. If you try to take it out of the tin as soon as it comes out of the oven, then it's likely to fall apart. So what I can do now is just slowly lift it out. This is where using the baking paper comes in very useful, because you can just lift it out. If you wouldn't mind just moving the tin.
Yeah.
I can just put that on. So it's quite nice and hard on top, but I can feel sort of on the sides it's a little bit soft. I'm just going to try and peel it away and see if we can see inside. Oh, it looks like it will come away. Yeah, there we go. And look at that, so you can see the nice textures and all the different ingredients in there.
It smells amazing too.
It smells lovely and I'm sure it will taste good. So I think that is ready to serve. You can see that the flax meal has probably sort of done its job pretty well. It looks nice and bound. And we'll see when we cut it. So I think that's it.
Yeah, we're just waiting for our vegetables, roast potatoes and Yorkshire puddings to be ready, and then we'll be serving up. Thank you so much for watching today. We hope you enjoyed this recipe, and please do keep an eye out for our other Christmas recipes as well. And any feedback in the comment section down below would be appreciated.
Also remember to like and subscribe and turn on the notifications so that you can see our other videos.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Take care, bye bye.